Welcome to the Independent Consultants Business Owner Stand Up. I'm Melissa Lieberman, and today we're talking about how to create predictability in your consulting business. This is such a common question that I get so frequently from independent consulting business owners. They want to know, and you probably do too, how do I create more consistency, more predictability? More in a more sustainable way in my consulting business where I don't feel like there's always some heavy lifting, where I don't feel like there's always something more I need to be doing in order to fill my pipeline and to have a steady stream of clients and steady stream of income. And so today I want to focus on a formula that I've created for you to help you really distill down what the elements are to create predictability in your business. Most consultants think this predictability comes from things like just time. Well, if I'm in business for longer, they make up some magical number, right? After 3 years, I bet it'll be predictable. Or after 5 years, I'll get into a groove, and my revenue and my income will feel a lot more predictable, and it'll feel like less of a heavy lift. I hear that so often. The other thing I hear often is, well, if I can just really dial in my lead generation strategy and figure out, what's the right way to create leads, then my business is going to be more predictable. Another common answer I get is, well, if I just get better at selling myself, if I can just figure out how to either get better at selling myself or hire someone to do it for me, then I'll have a more predictable business. And what I want to share with you today is, while some of those things can be very valuable for you in your business to create that predictability and sustainability and the peace of mind, those things can be really important. There's six other things that are further upstream in your process that you want, and really, quite frankly, much more foundational, that you want to be addressing and putting these, what I call the six predictability pillars, in place so that you have a much stronger foundation. And quite frankly, it kind of doesn't matter what your lead gen strategy is, or how much time has passed or not passed in your business. It kind of makes those other things in some ways irrelevant, and in some ways much easier. So today I'm going to focus on sharing with you what those 6 C's are, those 6 predictability pillars, so that you can start putting those in place for you and your business in order to create that predictability, in order to create a strong foundation for your business so that it's easier to run, so you don't feel like you're always doing this heavy lifting and trying to figure everything out. So with that, I'm going to put this slide into, there we go. We're going to talk about creating predictability by shifting your thinking. So again, it's that precursor, that prerequisite to any kind of lead generation strategy or any kind of sales strategy. Having this a different type of thinking in place that relies on these 6 C's I'm going to share with you. That's what's going to create the predictability for you. So I'm going to walk you through these, not in a ton of detail because I like to keep these fairly, to the 10-ish minute mark. But I'm going to give you an overview of what these 6 C's are and why they're so important. And then I encourage you to go listen to, I'll put it here, go listen to the podcast this week, episode 62, where I walk you through all of these 6 C's in much more detail with a lot of examples and your ability to, really put this into action for yourself. So with that, let's dive into what they are. Let me just take that away. Okay, let's dive into what these 6 C's are. The first is you having, and they really envelop a business owner identity. This is what these 6 things really create for you, if you're able to cultivate them, a business owner self-identity, which is so different than having an employee self-identity. So with that, the first one is clarity. So creating clarity for yourself about what your business is, who it serves, why they care about what you do. What is the ultimate value they're looking for? When you think about things like, well, it's my time, they're looking for, my time, or they're looking for, extra capacity, you can see how different that is than if you were to think about, at the end of the day, the expertise and the types of problems you solve result in that client of yours saving money, or result in that client of yours mitigating their risk, or result in that client of yours avoiding making costly mistakes that you could end up taking them, years out of the business strategy that would be most effective for them. So when you first get into the clay, this first C to create that predictability is to really understand at a deep level the purpose of your business and why what you do matters to the clients that you want to be working with. The second C, and this at the first surface might seem kind of easy, but it isn't actually. And that's commitment. For a lot of times, I hear consultants talking with me, and it's like, this is such a heavy lift. Maybe I'll consider going back to corporate. Or this is such a heavy lift. The other day I was approached by this incredible opportunity. I'm kind of considering it, getting out of the zone of their consulting business, trying to shift the circumstances in order to create more ease for themselves, which quite frankly doesn't happen. We take ourselves wherever we go, right? With ourselves wherever we go. So really checking yourself in terms of commitments. And I will, let me just give you a link to a workbook that I've created around this topic so that you can go download this, because all of the questions that I'm giving you right now, and more questions around these 6 C's, some questions for you to answer and some exercises you can do to really start figuring out where you're at within each of these. And from an awareness perspective, and then tools to start strengthening them. So I'll just show you. You can go to this website, melissalieberman.com/double, and it will give you that workbook. The third C is your connection to money. This one is so critical. And if I were only to give you one of them, this one would probably be it. Having a high quality connection to money really shows up everywhere in your business. It shows up in your pricing. It shows up in the way that you handle client extensions and follow-on work, and the way you price those and the way you articulate them. It shows up in the way that you talk with people about referrals and partnering and teaming together, and the way that those relationships are structured. The way you think about money and having money and making money and people paying you money is so important. And this is something that shifts so quickly when we move from corporate and we're used to selling on behalf of our company or implementing or whatever you used to do at corporate. And there was this layer in between you and whoever was paying, right? They were paying the company, and then the company ultimately paid you a salary. Now you're taking out that middleman. There's no one else paying your salary anymore. The company is paying you directly. And all of a sudden, I see this all the time. Consultants kind of freak out. It makes it so different and feel so much more personal when they're paying you directly. And all of these thoughts about money and greediness and value and what creates value and how much money you should be paid and are earning from that client, and all of that kind of noise around money and your beliefs about money and potentially scarcity all just come rushing in and start creating governors on your business, start creating plateaus in your business, start creating upper limits in your business. And so again, your ability to really create and cultivate a high quality connection to money is one of the most important pillars that you can put in place in order to create predictability and sustainability for yourself. So again, I encourage you to go download that workbook that is at melissalieberman.com/double so that you can I'll just hide that so that you can uh, put some of this into place. I give you a lot of exercises and questions that you can start answering so that you can put this into place for yourself and start cultivating a higher quality connection to money. The next is certainty. A lot of us look to our business and the results we're creating and how many clients we have and how much money we're making and generating and what our pipeline looks like. We look to those things to then make us feel better, to give us certainty, to feel like that this is predictability. All of these metrics are making me feel so much better. When in fact it actually is a chicken and the egg. You've got to get to the place where you're creating certainty for yourself, regardless of whether you're in an upturn or in a downturn, where you feel 110% solid that you are able to go generate income when you need to and in a way that you want to, and that you don't have to rely on your business to create that certainty for you. When you get to the place from a business owner mindset perspective that you're able to create the certainty for yourself, even in the lowest dip, that's where you start to really move the needle in terms of your business and your potential to begin earning and creating more fulfillment and more in a more sustainable way for yourself. And then the last C, oh no, there's two more. The confidence is the next one. Creating confidence. It's kind of similar to the certainty. Learning the skills to create confidence for yourself, regardless of what the external situation is, regardless of whether you landed a deal or you might, kind of be in between clients. Having confidence regardless of what your current business circumstances are, knowing that you're the type of person, that you're the kind of business owner, that you're someone who's able to be successful running a business no matter what. So that cultivating that confidence is so important. So if you go to that workbook that I mentioned to you, it gives you some more exercises that you can do on a daily basis. Super simple, takes 5 minutes, but it's a really, really powerful exercise that I share with you to be able to go in and take a gauge on where you're at from a confidence perspective and begin and then the tools to cultivate that and continue to grow your confidence without needing that and being reliant on that external validation. And then the sixth and final C, the predictability pillar, is the capacity to have. And this one's kind of crazy, but I see it or it seems crazy on the surface. But I know I've suffered from this, and I see so many other consulting business owners suffer from this too. We kind of build our way up and create success, and then all of a sudden it becomes a kind of a panic or a fear mode. And sometimes it's subtle, and sometimes it's more blaring. But it gets to this place of maybe I've got too much. Maybe you hear that saying. We all have heard it probably growing up. You're getting too big for your britches. Like the other shoe's going to drop. All of these kind of messages that we've had, most of us, for our entire life, starting in childhood, can give us this sense of if I've got too, quote unquote, too much, which, well, honestly, what is too much? If I've got too much, I'm putting myself at risk. I'm putting myself in danger of somehow losing everything. And it's this crazy mental construct that is essentially created to keep you in this little comfort zone, in the safe space where you're making enough money to be comfortable. You might even be making 500,000 or 750K and experience this. I've seen this capacity to have issue come in to play with people making less than 100K, all the way up to people making more than 3 or 4 million. And so this is so important to really look at what this capacity to have is for you and what your upper limit is and why you might be self-sabotaging yourself to kind of stay in some quote unquote safe zone. So again, if you go download that workbook, it'll help you walk through this and figure out where you might be having some issues with that particular pillar, the capacity to have. Before we wrap up, I just want to share with you, I recorded a podcast on this topic. It's episode 62. This link isn't very helpful, is it? It's episode 62, and it's the 6 C's that help you create more money with more ease. So go check that out on the podcast, which I'll just put this here. It's a little bit easier to read. Um, the Grow Your Independent Consulting Business podcast. So go check that out and listen to episode 62. And the last thing that I'll encourage you to do is go take the Independent Consultant Business Growth Assessment. It's at icscorecard.com, where it'll help you figure out with these pillars, where do you need to focus? Where's the highest priority that will move the needle for you so that you do have more predictability in a more scalable way. So you're not getting burned out. You're able to make more money with less stress and less overwhelm, with more ease and more fulfillment. All right. So that's what we have for today. This Friday, Independent Consulting Business Owners Stand Up. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again next week. Take care.